My name is Cecilia D'Agostino, and my piece is called The Voyage, referencing Acts 27. Acts chapter 27 is the story of St. Paul being taken to Rome. The ship he is sailing on encounters a terrible storm, and those on board are forced to throw all their cargo and supplies overboard. The men give up hope of surviving, but Paul speaks to them, urging them not to give up hope. Eventually, all of the men survive the storm and make it to shore safely. This piece mimics that theme with a nautical-sounding rhythm and minor key, but it has a higher descant in the last section of the ABA structure and a more hopeful ending. I used a string quartet with the instruments being introduced slowly. I would like to thank Miss Burks for all her patient teaching and help with this piece, and I hope you enjoy.
Sgroi, and tonight I have the honor of playing my piece for you all, One Last Stand. I named it this because of the dramatic, mysterious, and melancholy tone that the song brings to life. As the piece progresses at the beginning, more parts are added and the volume increases, integrating a certain tension into the beginning of the song. The cello will then be added by itself as the melody, and the song will increase in dramaticism and tension from there. A slowed tempo and quieter parts will then resolve the tension by bringing the song to a close. Before I forget, I would like to thank Mr. Kwiatkowski for his help with not only my piece, but all of our classes, the musicians for taking their time and effort to learn to play these songs, and my family for supporting me. Finally, I would like to thank God for the opportunity to be here. I hope you all enjoy listening to this piece, One Last Stand, as much as I enjoyed writing it. God bless.
Good evening. My name is Cyril Mechtenberg, and today I've been given the honor of presenting my composition, Dilly. I picked this name because when I played it for one of my friends, he said it sounded like dilly-dallying, and I thought that name fit perfectly. The goal of my piece was to be a happy, upbeat song, something fun that would get stuck in your head. It is built off a basic chord progression that was influenced by the song All of Me, written by John Legend. Off this chord progression, I added a catchy violin melody. From there, I built the rest of my piece, trying to keep the same positive, energetic feeling. Before I end my speech, I would like to thank Mr. Kwiatkowski for helping me learn and grow as a composer. I don't think I would be where I am without him. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy Dilly.
Hi everyone, my name is Phoebe Skiles-duToit, and my piece is called Rhapsody. When I started composing this piece, my goal was to write a song based on a poem my class had just read, the Solitary Book. But as I wrote it, it became something completely different. The song I ended up with is called Rhapsody because my middle name is Rhys, and a rhapsody, according to Google, is an effusively enthusiastic or ecstatic expression of feeling. This name felt right because my piece ended up being less about following a strict plan and more about expressing my own thoughts and emotions, and I also just really like the alliteration. Structurally, the piece follows an A-B-C-A pattern. We'll hear a main theme that repeats throughout and is passed between the different instruments. Part A establishes the theme, Part B adds more melancholy, and Part C modulates to a major key before returning to the main theme and Part A. I hope you enjoy listening to Rhapsody. Thank you.
John Paul Younger, and my piece is titled Emotions. When I was composing this, I really wanted to capture the way emotions ebb and flow and how they build up and then slowly fade away. In my piece, there are different ways the dynamics show themselves. They'll get louder and then they'll quiet down, but not at the same time. And it flows until at one point there's just an overflow and everything just boils over until there's a resolution at the end. I want to thank Mr. Kwiatkowski for helping me so much during this piece, and I was super confused in the beginning, and he really helped me through it. I also want to thank the musicians for playing for all of us tonight. I hope you enjoyed my piece.
Pillari. The piece I have a pleasure of showing you today is called The Falcon and the Starling. As the name suggests, it's about the hunt between a peregrine falcon and the starling bird. This piece was inspired by composer Christopher Larkin and was written in the key of D minor for that eerie, tense feel. I worked very hard on this. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwiatkowski, for helping me out. And thank you very much, musicians, for practicing this so much. I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed composing it. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Norah Walton, and my composition is titled Consider the Ravens. The piece is a waltz written in A minor, following an A-B-C-B-A arch structure for the piano, cello, viola, and violin. It is titled after Luke 12, 24 through 28. Consider the ravens. They do not reap or sow. They have no storehouse or barn, yet God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than the birds? Despite its solemn and melancholy minor theme, it was written with the intention of evoking a feeling of wholeness and security, even in solemnity. Despite the ravens' tendency to remain alone or in small groups, they are never truly alone. God always provides for them. The melody, although haunting, is always accompanied with harmonies meant to fulfill and echo it, just as God never ceases to accompany us, even when our own melodies may seem desolate. Finally, I'd like to dedicate this piece to my cello teacher, who has worked with me for close to 10 years now, as she battles cancer for a second time. She has shaped me in so many ways, both as a musician and as a person, from consoling my tears of frustration to pretending that she believed me when I said I had practiced, even though we both knew I had not touched my cello all week. I would ask you all to keep her in your prayers and remember in times of distress to consider the ravens. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Ignatius Scherz, and my piece is titled The Storm. Written in F minor for the string quartet and the piano, this piece builds in anticipation, like a storm moving across the horizon. It begins with the pitter-patter of rain in the piano, and the main theme playing in the violin one and viola. Soon, rain picks up with ostinatos in the piano, and thunder begins with heavy octaves in the bass. Next, wind picks up with triplets and a mini melody in the viola and the violin too. All this builds in anticipation and tension until the storm finally breaks. A faster, newer melody begins, resembling the chaos of being in a storm. However, the piece soon switches to the relative major, A major, giving hope in such chaos. Finally, the piece concludes by returning to F minor for the finale. I want to give a major shout out to Mr. Qui for helping guide me through this process, and to the musicians for putting the time in to play this piece. I really enjoyed creating it, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it.
Hello, I'm Tegan Sagarsee. My composition for a string quartet is titled Land Finally. As you listen, imagine a boat of sailors who has spotted land, finally, after a long, hard voyage. The song begins when the sailors have first spotted land, and this is portrayed by sighted 16th notes and loud accents. During the middle of the piece, the sailors continue to row because even though they've spotted land, they have not reached it yet. The middle section feels almost repetitive as it has many repeated rhythms. The piece ends with the sailors happily reaching shore, expressing the same excitement they showed at the beginning of the piece with repeated 16th notes and a happy ending. I want to thank Miss Burks for helping me through this piece, and my dad for helping me name it, and the musicians for playing it. I hope you enjoy it. My name is Naomi Lincicum, and I wrote a piece for string quartet and piano, which I titled Smitten. When I first started writing this composition, I think I had about 5 or so mini compositions, all of which I was unsure whether or not I should continue. So I ended up asking multiple music teachers as well as several classmates which one I should continue. And they all agreed on the same fun little jazzy upbeat chord progression, which I also enjoyed. The answer seemed clear, but I didn't pick that one. Instead, I ended up choosing a much slower string mini piece, despite everyone attempting to get me back on track to the jazzy chord progression. Interestingly enough, the piano for this piece was actually written last and fit well as chords descending in stepwise motion from C to B to A and so on, which you'll hear throughout the piece. I also could not resist adding at least one little fast piano bit to it, so sandwiched into the ABA structure, you'll hear a much faster 16th note pattern, modeled after the Alberti bass-style broken chord pattern, which is structured as the lowest note, then the highest, in the middle, and finally back to highest with a little bit of a twist in the case of this piece. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Burks as well as the musicians, and also my piano teacher who's in the audience today, who's put up with me since I was 5 years old. So yeah, I hope you enjoy Smitten.